people. Shabbat Shalom to everybody out watching on Facebook or TOS Live. Nice to be with you. And I invite you to enter into Shabbat time. There's something special about welcoming Shabbat when it is winter, especially as we're so near the solstice. Of course, we're now moving in a more light direction, but it is so very dark, and the candles have a different feeling because we are a community that begins our services each season at 6 o'clock. You can really notice the difference of what 6 o'clock feels like. Although I know for those of you on the West Coast right now, it's not 6 o'clock and it's not dark yet. But these candles that we'll light, if you have candles at home and you want to bring your Shabbat candles to the screen, please feel free so that we can bring light and warmth to one another on this very cold night here in Boston. Before we light our candles, though, I'd like to start with our Shabbat breathing. For Kabbalat Shabbat, receiving Shabbat, we need to be open in the soul sense and open perhaps in the physical sense to take in more breath, to be aware of our breath, present and rooted and mindful, so that we can be open to the blessings and the wisdom to be found in community and tradition. So I invite you to take some deep breaths and just become aware of how you might be feeling, and if there's places in you that feel like they need a little attention, maybe just give them some gentle breath and tend to them. If there's places in you physically that feel constricted, offer them some cleansing breath. If there's places in you spiritually or emotionally that feel constricted, you can do the same for those parts. And I'd like to share with you a poem before we light our candles. It's by the wonderful Marge Piercy. And it's a beautiful poem for entering into Shabbat called Letting Go. Letting go. What you have made, what you have spoiled, let go. Let twilight empty the crowded rooms, quiet the jostling colors to hues of swirling water, pearls of fog. This is the time for letting time go. Like a released balloon, dwindling. Tilt your neck and let your face open to the sky, like a pond catching light, drinking the darkness. And now, I think we're ready to light candles. The blessing is on page 2. The digital prayer book link is in the chat. Let's light these candles in this dark, dark winter night with so much that may be troubling our souls right now as difficulties swirl around us. Let's really bring our intention to this candlelight in the bringing it into ourselves. As I always say to our preschoolers when we light candles with them on Friday mornings, when we bring the warmth and light and peace into ourselves, then it enables us to bring warmth and light and peace to others. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. I'll have to hold up my candles very carefully because they don't fit in my screen the way I'm arranged. So I love seeing some of your candles in that screen. Whoops, well, Don't worry, nothing caught on fire, but the candle did fall. I guess I should not. Lesson learned. Do not lift up your Shabbat candles. Okay. So, does anyone have a Simcha shout out? I don't think they're here. I don't know if they're here, but I don't see them on the Zoom. They may be watching elsewhere, but Doris and Saul Feldman yesterday celebrated their 60th anniversary. As Saul had been reminding us for many months leading up, as well he should have. A big occasion, and I spoke with them yesterday, and what a blessing they are. So if you're out there, Doris and Saul, we're celebrating you. For Doris and Saul, their anniversary, as joyous as it is, comes also very close to the yahrzeit of their beloved son, Peter, a mensch among mensches, a beautiful soul, and it's his first yahrzeit coming up. So we also send you blessings of comfort, Doris and Saul. Any other smachot, any other simchas that you would like to share so that we can bring some light and love and joy into our community? You can put them in the chat. If you're on Facebook, you can leave them there. Anything else good?
Just that my artwork was at New Art Center.
Mazel tov, Esther. It's really wonderful. It's there for a few more days, I think, right?
Yeah, it's there until I think January 2nd or January 3rd.
Yeah. So I'm planning to go see it before it closes, and maybe some of our other community members can go see your art. Great. Congratulations on your raise, Lisa. If there's anything else you'd like to share now or as the service goes on, please feel free to do that. We all could use some extra joy. And we'd love to hear. And also, you can always let us know in between services, email the office and let us know so that we can wish you well on whatever happy occasion, large or small, you may be looking forward to. So I have a friend and colleague who lives out in Washington State, and she wrote an exquisite little piece today that she shared on Facebook, and I share it from her because it is so beautiful and appropriate for tonight. And I'm sharing it, you'll see why I'm sharing it before we sing Shalom Aleichem. So again, this is from Rabbi Johanna Kinberg. Tonight, a child is born. Since we do not believe the Messiah has yet come, my mother always told me it means that any baby born into this world might be the Messiah. And we should all live our lives as though we are preparing the world for this child. It could be any child. It could be born tonight. I do not believe in a Messiah. I believe in living my life as my mother told me, like every child is a potential Messiah. Tonight, a child will be born, a child who will unite the world, a child who has the wisdom to direct us towards sustainability, towards viability as a planet. A child who will bring greater peace to this world, a child who will comfort and guide our future generations. There is no end to the potential of a child born tonight. Some human beings come into this world to change the game. Their unique presence in this world is a course correction. They speak and people listen. They are not divine, but they are messengers, malachim, that we sing about in Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachim. Rabbi Kinberg goes on to write, tonight when I sing Shalom Aleichem, I will invite all the new souls, Malachim, messengers, born on this Shabbat, the Shabbat where we read of Moses' birth and his trip down the Nile River, to rise high while they are here with us, to soar, to expand, to take up space with all of their potential goodness. Tonight, a child will be born. There is so much hope in this reality. So with that, we enter into singing, "Welcome angels, welcome messengers of peace. We, the Jews, are the people of hope," as Rabbi Sachs, Zichrono Livracha, has taught us. We believe that a child born tonight absolutely has the potential, a child born tonight or any night, to bring this world into wholeness. And I'm sorry I'm having technical issues with my camera at the moment, as you can see. But we're going to start singing, and there we go. It's back. Page 24, Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seidchem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tonight we'll sing a bit of Psalm 29, which is on page 18. Mizmor leDavid, havu l'Adonai bnei Elim, havu l'Adonai kavod va'oz. Havu l'Adonai kevod shemo, ishtachavu l'Adonai behadrat kodesh. Kol Adonai al hamayim el hakavod hirim. Kol Adonai al mayim rabim. Kol Adonai ba'koach yailai. Kol Adonai behadar. Kol Adonai shover arazim. Vayshaber Adonai et arzei halvanon. Vayarkidem kemo egel. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Tonight I thought we'd sing something we don't sing very frequently, but something I really love, called Ana Bechoach. It was written probably around the 1st century by Rabbi Nehunya ben Hakana, and it has a lot of amazing mystical interpretations that the mystics believe that that there are names of God embedded in the text, and it's traditionally recited just as we are after the Psalms, in our case just one Psalm of Kabbalat Shabbat, and it serves as both a capstone of the 7 days of the week and a reflection of the whole structure of the universe being rooted in that 6 days of creation and 7th day of rest. The words, we're just going to sing the first few words, which mean essentially, please, we beg of you, with the strength of your right hand, greatness, untie our knots, untangle our knots or our sins. Accept the prayer of your nation. Strengthen and purify us, O awesome one. But I love it because koach means strength. And koach can mean physical strength or any kind of strength. And I feel like as here we are in what I jokingly call season 3 of the pandemic, we need a little strength. I think we all could use a little extra koach as things go on and on in ways that we wish they were not. So I brought it tonight, but it's really, someday I think I'll do a study session on it because it's just unbelievable what the mystics did, where they decided that these words themselves are embedded with the names of God, and drew a lot of deep, deep meaning from it. For tonight, we'll just enjoy the melody and that word koach, strength, which will hopefully strengthen us. Anna bechoach, bechoach, gedulat yemincha, yemincha. Tatzir tzerura, kabel rinat amcha, sagveinu torenu nora. Anna bechoach, bechoach, gedulat yemincha, yemincha. Tatzir tzerura, kabel rinat amcha, sagveinu torenu nora. Yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai dai. We'll turn to Lechado D on pages 20-21, verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And if you're able to physically rise when we get to verse 9 and face the entrance to your home, to bow as the mystics did in the north of Israel when they would go outdoors into the hills to welcome that presence of Shabbat as a bride or queen, you can rise physically or in any way that is possible for you. Beginning here on page 20. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor bedibur echad, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Verse 5. התעוררי, כי התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, אורי אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, Shabbat nekabela. We rise for verse 9. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala gam besimcha uvetzola toch emunei am segula boi chala lecha dodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabela. We'll sing part of Psalm 92, the psalm traditionally sung after Lecha Dodi, the psalm of wow. We're at the top of page 342, or you can just sing Hallelujah, or Ma Gadlu Ma'asecha Ya Me'od Amku Machshavotecha. Any Ma Gadlu moments to share, any wow, small or large, that you would like to share, feel free to go ahead and put them in the chat to share with everybody. Hallelujah, 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 Magadlu, Masechaya, hallelujah, Me'od Amku Machshavotecha, Magadlu, Masechaya, hallelujah, Me'od Amku Machshavotecha, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. We'll transition into Ma'ariv with Chatzi Kaddish on page 26. Yitkadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah Bi'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'gala ba'gala u'v'zman kori v'yimeru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'alam u'lalmei almaya yitbarach יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה, ויתהלל שמי קודשה בריחו, לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמה, ויאמרו Amen. So we're going to move into Baruch Hu, the call to prayer on page 28. If you would like to unmute for the responsive lines, we can hear each other even cacophonously. Feel free to unmute for the responsive line, and please rise. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. You can be seated. Page 30. ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו, לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב ערבים. Page 32, giving thanks for the gift of wisdom we have been given, we have inherited, that has helped generations of our people live their lives with the deeply held values of justice and compassion. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael amcha ahavta, Torah umitzvot, chukim umishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, b'shochveinu uvekumenu, nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei toratecha, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה, יומם ולילה. באהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך. ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בעם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בעיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. We turn to page 40 for Mi Chamocha. Mi Chamocha Pa'ilim Adonai, Mi Chamocha Nedar B'Kodesh, Nora Tehilot Osei Fele, Nora Tehilot Osei Fele. מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים. זה אלי ענו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. יאי רי 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 ידה רי יאי רי יאי רי רי יאי רי 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 ay rai 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 ya rai rai ya rai ya rai 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 ya rai ya rai. Sing on page 42 our lying down blessing, prayer for peace, for restful sleep that replenishes us and allows us to do our work in this world when we wake up to a new day, something we do not take for granted. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Ushmor tzetenu uvoenu lechayim ulshalom me'ata v'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. And I just want to note that in those lines we just sang, Ushmor tzetenu uvoenu, that makes me think of the blessing that you may have, or someone you know may have, the Birkat Habayit, the blessing for the home. Bless our comings, our coming-ins, and our goings out. Our comings in and our goings out. Tzetenu uvoenu, uvoenu utzetenu. And now we're going to transition into praying that God spread over us a shelter, a canopy of peace. Let's tap into that feeling. Let's ground ourselves when it can be hard to feel grounded, where we might feel disoriented or re-disoriented as the Omicron variant rages around us and things are once again getting canceled. Remember that we are grounded, we are held. In the words of Rilke, the universe holds you in its grasp and will not let you fall. Tap into that sense of groundedness and of being held, surrounded by light and love and peace in a way that is very holding and secure. When we tap into that, it can help give us the resources to give that feeling of safety and peace to others. We'll be 3 lines down and then the last 3 lines on page 42. Ufros aleinu sukat shelomecha. Ufros aleinu sukat shelomecha. Baruch ata Adonai הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. For you, God, watch over us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. We'll turn now to the Amidah. Please rise in body or spirit as we begin on page 46. And we'll continue together through the first 3 blessings. Then we'll take individual time using the prayer book. The link is in the chat if you wish to use the prayer book or simply the words that are within you tonight. And we'll join back together with our prayer for peace on page 60. Beginning on page 46. Anna na 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 Adonai. Anna na 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 Svatai tiftach. Anna na 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 Ufi yagid. Ufi yagid tehila techa. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, בחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. And we continue privately. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. We'll take some time now to pray for those who are in need of healing of body or spirit. If you would like to mention a name, we're a small enough group that if you would like to unmute here on the Zoom and share names, feel free to do that. Otherwise, you can put them in the chat. Of course, if you're on Facebook, you can put them in the chat as well.
My brother-in-law, Steve.
My brother-in-law, John Jacobic, who is getting better, thank God.
I'm glad to hear it, Judy.
Okay. Keith Tornheim, Steve Adler Golden, Eileen Schwartz.
Thank you. And Liesel, Susan, Alan, Jerry, Bruce. I'd like to add the names Leah Bat Sholem, Julia Berkman. As mentioned, John Jacobnik, David Page, Heather Page Jackson, Chava Bat David, Joni Levine, Ruth Stavisky, Dina Rachel Bat Aryeh Vegalia, Glenna Bub, Cassandra Warshawski, Chaya Blima Bat Chaim, Chia Vasilia Ruchel, Jeffrey Colt, Joseph Siegel, Yosef Ben Herschel Verut. I'd like also to mention all those who are on the front lines, the exhausted healthcare workers who are once again so depleted, and all those who are suffering from this disease, whether directly or indirectly, suffering from COVID, all those around the world, and all those who care for them. I mentioned them for healing of body and spirit. We'll turn to page 253 to sing Misha Berach. Misha Berach Imoteinu Mekor Habracha Lavoteinu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Berach Imoteinu Mekor Habracha Lavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shleima, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. So, this Shabbat we enter into a whole new book of Torah. We've transitioned from Genesis into Exodus, from Bereshit into Shemot. And here we are at the beginning of quite a wild journey for the Israelites. We've gone now from the complex stories of individuals, the patriarchs and matriarchs, and their descendants. Now we have tribes, and for the first time we'll be called an Am. to refer to the people Israel we first see here in the book of Exodus. Is a people, a nation. There's so much that we could talk about this Parsha, Shemot, in the beginning of the book of Shemot. But I was very, very struck this week by the poetic rendition, interpretation / translation of this Parsha by Rabbi Yael Levi, whose book is the basis for my Thursday morning class. And there's only a couple of you who were there on Thursday, I think. So I'm going to double dip a little bit, and because it's just so good. We have to use this same text. Again, I tried to use something else, and I just kept coming back to what Josh is going to share on the screen. I think he's sharing it, but I just can't see it. Sorry, Josh. Yes, he is. Thank you. This is an amazing book. She goes through every Torah portion and frames it through the lens of mindfulness teachings, and draws out wisdom from what happens in Torah in ways that I think are incredibly powerful and innovative. So I just wanted to take a few minutes tonight to share with you what Rabbi Levi has done with this parsha, and particularly I think it can really speak to us in this moment. So I'm wondering what you think of it. So I'm just going to read it through in the interest of time, and you can see it here on your screen as well. The book, by the way, is readily available on, I like to mention bookshop.org more than amazon.com. I think bookshop.com is a great independent bookseller website where you can order books, but you can also use Amazon, and it is there. So here we go. And we're focused on the part of Shemot, not the very beginning, but about 3 chapters in, when Moses is shepherding his father-in-law's flock, and something quite unexpected happens. Moses was on his way, focused on where he was going, thinking he knew what his life would be, when all of a sudden, he saw an amazing sight. He turned and gazed long enough to notice the bush that had been burning forever. As he turned and paused, Moses heard a voice from inside the earth, from inside the fire, from inside himself, call his name. Moses' immediate response was, Hineni, here I am, present, willing, able. Take off your shoes, the voice said, for the place on which you stand is holy ground, and I need you. Realizing all he would let go of and all he would need to become, Moses cried, This is not what I asked for. I had other plans. I was on my way. This is not something I can or want to do. The voice insisted, Your path is different from the one you had imagined. Feel your feet on this holy ground. What is your name? Moses demanded. You who ask everything of me. Ehyeh asher ehyeh, the voice answered. I will be that I will be. Wherever you are, there I am. I am expansive potential, infinite possibility. I am all that is and all that can be, and I am calling you forward. Our paths unfold from here. The earth we stand upon is holy ground, and the bush is burning. It is our inheritance to look, to pause, to listen, to veer from certainty, from habit, from expectations, and see the bush aflame. It is our inheritance to let the fire fuel our imagination, inspire our spirit, and arouse our commitment to step forward into the truth of our lives. To step forward into the truth of our lives and offer ourselves for healing, for blessing, for goodness, for peace. So Josh, we can leave that up just for a couple of minutes. I'm going to refer to a few things. So sometimes, a lot of the time, as the Yiddish expression goes, we plan and God laughs, right? I can never remember how to say it in Yiddish. I've learned it so many times. I am sure more than one of you knows how to say it. You'll tell me afterwards. But we plan and God laughs. And we resist sometimes when we were minding our own business, shepherding our flock, or whatever it is we were doing, and something calls to us, and that something might be very dramatic, demanding to be seen or heard. It might be something that comes from outside of us. It might be something that comes from within us. And even if it comes from within us, we might not like it. And we might try to resist and say, no, that's not the way I want to go. That's not something I feel I can do. I'm not equipped. I can't do it. Remember, Moses says, no, I'm not the guy you want for this job, freeing this people from slavery. I am not the guy. I'm not even a good speaker. I'm not a good public speaker. I have a stutter. I am not the man. God says, no, you are. I need you. God needs us, each one of us, in all that we are, sometimes in all that we are that we don't even know that we are, until we are called into service in a certain way. And Moses, though he resisted, was this person who had to listen. And when he stopped, as he was going along his way, and the bush got his attention, it got his attention, but as Rabbi Levy points out, the bush was aflame all along. He just noticed it. When he stopped and paid attention and was present to what needed to call out to him, that place where he was, that presence, that groundedness, that openness and receptivity was holy. It wasn't holy, though the text seems to suggest it was maybe a holy place, Horev, but Moses didn't know that. And I think, and Rabbi Levy's interpretation drew out for me, that it was what happened in that place that made the place holy. And what happened there is that Moses stopped and listened to a call that maybe came from outside of him. Maybe the call from God is the same as a call from within us. I don't know. But it was a call. He took notice of it. He resisted it. But ultimately, that hineni that he said at first, I am here, I am ready, was what he followed. Hineni. So what I'm struck by, to try to connect Torah to where we are in our lives and in our life communally right now, is this notion that things are not going as planned and we want to resist with all of our might where we are being called to go and what we are being called to do. When we allow ourselves to be present and just really notice the call, how it can lead us to certainly not an easy path, but one in which blessings of a certain kind of freedom can happen. I'll share on this. We shared some of our personal stories in our Thursday morning group about having a call to do something that was unexpected, even if it came from within ourselves, and something that we felt that we must do, even though part of us really didn't want to. And because I think my mom is on the Zoom, I'm going to mention it because she features in this story. So just for a moment, I'll share that the experience that really did lead to the whole rest of my life in ways I couldn't have imagined was going to Israel for the semester in 1995, semester of college. I didn't expect to go to Israel. I didn't have any previous real connection to Israel other than watching the movie Exodus in Hebrew school. the Paul Newman one. I was not very connected Jewishly, and I had been intending to go to Russia because I was studying Russian. And I woke up one day and decided to go to Israel. And I'll never know exactly why. What was that call? And the night before I was supposed to leave, I was crying a lot. Everything in me was so scared to go to this place I'd never been. I knew no one. I didn't want to go. And I remember my mom said, "You don't have to go." And I remember saying through my tears, "No, I do. I have to go." I didn't know why. I had no idea. But I don't think that everything else flowed from there. And as I shared in the group, I also cried a lot of the days I was in Israel. It was very hard. It was not easy at all. And it was what I needed to do. So maybe there are things in your life that you resisted or wanted to resist that were so, so hard, but that ultimately were what allowed your particular neshama, yourself, that is completely unique among souls, to do the work that it needed to do in this world. And Moses could never have anticipated this, and it led to our people becoming free to do our work in this world. So I love that Rabbi Levi says it's our inheritance. It's our inheritance to listen and veer, be open to changing course, veering from habit or expectation, even our expectations from ourselves. And I love this line, that when we're open to that call, no matter how hard it might be, we step forward into the truth of our lives. And when we do that, we can bring ourselves into this world as God's partner, with our souls doing what they are meant to do in this world. And it's not just one thing. It certainly might not just be one call, one moment, one thing. It may be many things. God may need us in a deep way, may need our particular souls at many different points in many different ways. And so how at this moment communally are we being called, though I'm guessing all of us can agree that we wish we weren't experiencing some of what we as a country and as a world are experiencing right now. But what can we find in the fact that this is where we are? This is the moment in which we live. What were we called to do in this moment? How can we partner with God in this very difficult moment? Because when we are open to that, we are truly standing on holy ground. So may we find blessing in whatever the calls are that come to us when we least expect them. May we be open to them. May we use our souls for the service, in service to this world. Shabbat Shalom. Josh, thank you. You can stop the screen share. You did. Thank you. As always, I'm open to any reflections, insights, questions that you may have, since we don't have the opportunity for much discussion tonight. And at this point, we're going to close our service, starting with Aleinu on page 282. And afterwards, of course, you're welcome to share or reflect on any of that. We can stay and say hello after we sing our concluding song. So please rise, if in body or spirit, for Aleinu. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגופי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. 287. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד I know there's some of you here observing yard site or are in a year of mourning for a loved one. So I'll invite you to share the names of those you're remembering. We are also showing here the list of yard sites in our community. And Peter Feldman is listed here, Doris and Saul. We're glad that you're here. Our hearts are with you as you remember Peter. We adored him, and he has truly a lasting impression and beautiful legacy. For all of us who knew him, may you be comforted at this time of his yard site. Are there others who are observing yard site? Diane.
My father, Abe Rosen.
May his memory be a blessing.
Thank you.
And I want to remember my colleague, Jim Moser.
Memory be a blessing.
Say your name. Yeah.
Say your word.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Edwin. Edwin, go ahead. Luz
Maria Salamanca.
your mother.
My mother.
May her memory be a blessing. And I know Norma Weber, may her memory be a blessing too. Anyone else? So also in our community, we recently lost the father of our member, Nancy Knightenson, Sheldon Knightenson. Any other yard sites or those who are in mourning? May the memory of all we've mentioned tonight and all those we hold in our hearts be a blessing, an eternal blessing. May we honor them in word and deed. Mourner's Kaddish is here on the screen or on page 294. And Josh, if you wouldn't mind enlarging the words on the screen, if that's possible, that would be great. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael b'agala v'izman kori v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei d'kudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. I have a few announcements for everyone before we close our service. You may have read the email already. We sent an email yesterday, I think, that letting you know some updates to our to what we'll be doing this month due to the COVID surge. All of our services and adult programming will be virtual through the end of January, but please do check your email. We'll be sending updates throughout. We hope and we pray that we will be able to be back together, those who wish to be coming in person before long, that the surge that is hitting very strongly will rapidly go down, and that we will stay safe and well, and we will certainly stay connected. That I can promise you. We have seen, we know how to do that. and we'll be back to having that opportunity to be in person before long. So next week, Rabbi Schaefer will be leading our virtual Friday night service at 6 p.m., New Year's Eve. And our office is closed December 27th through the 1st this coming week, but our emergency line is open. So, of course, for any life cycle or pastoral emergencies, you can reach us. A couple of announcements about upcoming things. Our former TOS staff member, and she's now a Hebrew College rabbinical student, Naomi Gertland, will be actually teaching a class on Pirkei Avot, sayings of the ancestors, and it should be a wonderful class. She'll be talking about what the meanings of these sayings are, and you'll think together about what our ancestors were saying to us. That will be on Wednesdays, January 5th, and the following two Wednesdays, 7:30 to 8:45 on Zoom. I'll be continuing my class after this week, Thursday mornings at 9. And members of TOS and also Shir Hadash have an opportunity to participate in a 5-week anti-racism training with an organization called Kavod. You'll examine race as a social construct, Jewish involvement in racial justice work, and the contemporary racial justice movement. That training begins on Thursday, January 20th. We'll go for the 4 following Thursdays from 7 to 9:15 on Zoom. You'll need to register, and registration is limited, but there's more information on our website or this week's newsletter. So we'll and there will be no Torah study or service tomorrow morning, but we'll hope to see you next Friday. We'll turn now to Kiddush and Motzi on page 5. If you have wine or grape juice and challah and want to bring it to your screen, go ahead. And you can rise for Kiddush if that's your custom. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'yahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikrai kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha b'yahava uvratzon hinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha'shabbat. Amen. L'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Let's close with Adon Olam on page 321, and then we can say hello to each other. Hershey will be very happy. He's been scratching at the door. Hopefully you can't hear him. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yetzir nivra le'et nasa v'chefzo kol azai melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה והוא אחד ואין שני להמשילו להכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא העוז והמשרה והוא אלי וחי גואלי וצור חבלי בעת צרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כוסי ביום אקרא ביד ידו, הפקיד רוחי, בתישן ואהירה, ועם רוחי גוויעתי, Adonai li velo ira. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you so much to Josh Cohen for doing our tech tonight. Thank you to everyone